it's a common thing to say, get out of your comfort zone. My parents were like, stay in your comfort zone, you know, like.
And he allowed me room to fail in times, and that's where you learn.
Yeah,
I mean, I tell this to my kids all the time when winning. I'm like, you know, they hate to lose, which I'm like, I get it. I get it. We hate to lose, but like, you have to appreciate losing.
Yeah. I never wanted to be a startup. I didn't want to be viewed as a startup. I didn't talk like we were a startup. We were a new, young company that had the intention and the ability to do great things. So that's what I did. I white labeled the software, and I basically started a local service for DoorDash.
Most people aren't starting business at 23. What was it like when you are having to go talk to bankers, when you're having to go interview and hire people, when you're talking to customers? I remember my own experience. I mean, you probably know where I'm going with this. Like, they look at you like, you're a kid. Like, how are you going to help me with this? What are some of those things you've had to overcome just because of your youth?
Hi, my name's Noah Alvarez, owner CEO of Alvy Delivers out of California. And you're watching the Last to First podcast.
In the last mile world, we value technology that looks good, but doesn't get the job done. That's why different is different. Built by courier pros with over 35 years of real-world operational experience. Sorting freight, dispatching drivers, missed scans. They built the technology platform that they always needed. You get lightning-fast dispatching and routing, a driver app that eliminates confusion and adds visibility. Back office automation and tools from on-demand to air freight, all in one place. Need proof? Their courier business grew 300% in just 3 weeks without any new hires and managing 150 drivers. Ready for tech that gets it? Visit deliverdifferent.com and book your demo today. Last to First family, welcome back to our next episode in the Last to First podcast, where we bring you the latest, the greatest, the innovators that's moving this space from last to first in today's and tomorrow's supply chain. Joining me today is, I say it all the time, these special guests. You hear me saying special guest, but it's a special guest. So I don't know what to say. I'm excited for this one. We got a young up-and-comer. I think he's going to be a superstar in this industry. Already making a lot of waves in the space. Recent addition to the CODA board of directors. I'm talking about Mr. Noah Alvarez, who is the founder and CEO of Alvy Delivers, Inc. Noah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Very excited to be here. You know, Jason, you've been a great mentor of mine since the first CLD I went to out there in Miami. I saw you on stage, and I'm not sure if you were the president at the time yet. You might have just been about to be elected. But you were kind of like the first like big deal I saw, you know what I mean? Like up there on stage. But I think more than like your role and like the title that you had, just the way that you carried yourself. I'll never forget, like just you walking like down like the aisle there, just saying hi to everyone, right? Newcomers that you're saying hi to me. You didn't even know who I was, but you know, the whole, which we'll get into a lot later, just about relationships. I think you've just nailed that piece of it. So very excited to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited as well. Appreciate you giving me that little accolade. Yeah. But I think just to tie it in, like that is the foundational thing of everything we do is people. Yeah. Right. Until AI takes over this whole world, which might be pretty damn close to that happening. Yeah. It's all about how you interact with people and these relationships we all have. So excited to get into that part of it. Cool. First, tell us in the audience about Alvy Delivers and what do you guys do, where you do it at, kind of what's your specialty?
So Alvy Delivers is a California-based, used to be just Southern California-based, but we're a California-based carrier. So really just focused on that market. I think that's important to start off with. I think part of our value add is our customers are nationwide global shippers. So we're trying to take that market of California, which is a tough market insurance-wise, as you know, the whole contractor-employee dynamic, and just trying to be experts at it, right? Since I've been in the industry in 2019, I've seen more companies leave the market than come in. Yeah. So we're, you know, and it was a big conversation with my brother and I as we were getting the business going. Do we try to expand? A couple of the early accounts we had was, you know, they were trying to get us in Arizona and Utah. We kind of dabbled in those markets, but not being able to get up in my car and drive down to a dock to, you know, shake someone's hand we talk about relationships on those first couple of days, just being far away. I just didn't feel comfortable with it, right? Everything that we do is a service provider. We're not offering anything super proprietary. It's our word of mouth. It's us being good, true, honest people, waking up in the morning, getting a team of people that believe in what we have and servicing. So we're not really decision makers, we're doers. So if you say something, we will say yes to it and try to execute it at a high level. But we're trying to keep our business model incredibly simple. And if our customer has a request, and that's, we've been able to grow through, now we have some 53-foot trucks in our fleet, which is super exciting. But anything, that regardless of the commodity, if it's in California and it's trying to move, we feel like we can provide a solution because of that. But a big part of it is because we have a very direct focus in the state of California.
Yeah. I told you this guy was smart, right? I didn't pick this up yet, smart. So what I'm saying is because at a very young age, we'll get into the story about your inexperience, which I don't think is really, I think it's an advantage for you, honestly. How you've already seen other companies who have maybe tried to grow too fast, grow beyond their footprint.
Yeah.
And I think I did a podcast episode recently where this gentleman was talking about, at one point, he had the same profitability at $5 million that he had at $25 million. And he was like, this made no sense.
Yeah.
But it seemed like at an early age, you've kind of picked this up already. Like, you don't have to keep chasing all these ghosts.
Yeah.
You can kind of stay true to your core, keep it simple, and have a lot of success.
Yeah.
The question I have for you is California, right? I mean, that is a tough market. A lot of people have either left or don't want to go in it because it's known as the most litigious state in the country.
Yeah.
Let's just start with that for a second. So you operate with what type of driver model?
So we do run a hybrid model that is primarily based around employees. So basically what we do, and again, this is all from, I think one of the only reasons why we'll be able to operate in a state like California is because of organizations like the CLD, because of people like yourself that have been able to guide us in the right direction from a compliance standpoint. There have been certain things that we have learned the hard way, whether it's been an audit or a lost customer relationship because of trying to grow too fast. And like you said, that margin level, we're happy today to be able to look at an account and say, it just doesn't fit our model. I remember, coming up, anything, right? It's like we're going on it. We're running it. I actually, a few of the members of the CLDA have brought us work. I'm looking back now. I'm like, oh, you just didn't want the work, right? So you kind of have to learn some of that stuff. But to answer your question, right now we do run a hybrid model. We have a lot of scheduled routed work. So anything that we are dictating an employee entirely or a driver entirely, they're an employee, right?
I want to thank you for taking this ride on the Last to First journey with us. In 6 months, we've achieved over 200,000 views across all our platforms. We're humbled and thankful for your support. But I do have one small favor to ask. Take 5 seconds, hit the like button or subscribe. Just like your on-time performance metric, this one matters to us the most. It helps us attract better guests and bring you deeper content to help propel you on your Last to First journey. And if your brand aligns with our mission, reach out to us. We'd love to find ways to partner and work together. Now back to Last to First. So
if they're coming in, they have a route that starts at 8 a.m., 9 a.m., they're coming in, sometimes they do use their own vehicle. So we will put them in one of, or they will use their own vehicle. We pay them a mileage reimbursement and things like that to make sure that we're squared away with the IRS on a per piece basis. This is something, we're also FedEx contractors in Ventura, California. So one of the things I was able to take away from some of the contractors there is paying them a per piece. So some of those contractors were able to pay a per piece rather than an hourly model, which is perfect for a business like ours, right? It actually fits our model much better than like a FedEx model, because a FedEx model, you're going to give a guy 120, 150 stops. But in our model, a lot of it is commingling multiple shipments, right? Trying to create an optimized route for that particular driver. So that model and learning how to do that model properly and within compliance, we got hooked up with some really, really smart people that have been in that FedEx world that kind of understand that. An attorney was involved in that and kind of creating driver agreements and things like that, making sure that we're paying out for rest time and breaks and things of that nature. So we do kind of run a figure it out model. I think, some of it is survival, right? There is a piece of I think trying to grow any business where you just got to kind of figure it out, right? And whether figuring it out is paying for an attorney here, paying for an advisor here, asking for advice. I'm constantly asking questions, right? And I think that was something that, I learned very early on, just being around the conference space, whether it was CLDA, ECA, and just, the mentors that come with that. It's just ask questions, right? People at the end of the day, especially in this industry, what I've learned, and we've been so blessed to be able to leverage, is people want to help you, right? And like you said, there's really not too many other people in California, which I think has helped a lot as well, right? So no one's really your competitor, right? It's like there's plenty of volume to go around. I service several accounts that other people service in other markets, other states. Lorena Carmago from Pearl, she's has accounts that I also have, but we service them in different markets, and it's all good. We try to help each other out and leverage each other that way. So
no, that's I think it's very, very profound what you're saying, how you're leveraging relationships, resources to find success. And even in California, where look, it certainly has challenges. Like every market has challenges, but also has a lot of upside.
Absolutely.
The California market, I remember the stat. I'm probably not good at these stats, but it's got one of the largest economies in the world, just the state of California. So that's really good. All right. But take me back to kind of your origin story. Like, how did you get into the space? And before we go there, you also own Alvy Delivers with your brother Michael.
Correct. So that'll be kind of part of the story. So,
okay, all right.
So our family has a restaurant, fast casual Mexican restaurant, Sharky's. They're really just on the West Coast. It's funny. I think part of like my mindset to stay in California has actually been from I had the great privilege of getting close to the founder of Sharky's, who started the model in 1992, and he partnered with a gentleman, David Goldstein, who started Baja Fresh. David started Baja Fresh with one of his good buddies, and they started it, and his friend wanted to take Baja Fresh and, as you know, get it all over the place. So that they got up to like 500 locations or something like that. And today Baja Fresh isn't really around. They're not really thriving. And David was upset about that expansion model the whole time because they lost control of everything. They lost control of franchisees. So my first piece of business, just getting my feet wet with working in a restaurant and being able to be an operator of that store, that my family kind of had me running at that point. I was still in college at the time. But I saw like, okay, well, this model didn't work out, and I was around people who believed in staying in a centered centralized location at the end of the day. I think I've always kind of kept that in the back of my head, like, okay, well, don't grow too fast, don't grow out of control, kind of stick to your roots. Like you were saying, California, it's hard, but this may be too much information. I have a tattoo of California on my chest that says opportunity, right? To me, it's opportunity. Like, that's just the kind of the way I've always viewed it. And if you're driven enough to try to figure it out, like, where there's a will, there's a way, right? So that's kind of just been our mindset. But anyway, so we have the restaurant, and in 2019, I'm doing it. I'm going to school. I'm coming up on my last semester. I was working in the store every day. I was like the guy, hairnet, like cooking food. It's a fast casual restaurant, but we have like real cooks. So I got to learn the dynamic of that Hispanic culture of people that are providing for their kids, right, in the back of the house. And then in the front of the house, we had 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds that just wanted to take their money and go buy an ice cream cone, right? So being able to be in that space and kind of learn like management skills and also kind of start to wrap my head around business while I was in school was a huge deal for me. It really kind of gave me like a applied business, an applied business sense while I was still in school. So I'm not a restaurant guy though. I wasn't like, prior to going through the training, I wasn't passionate about cutting food or doing any of that stuff, wrapping burritos and all that stuff. I learned it. I'm glad I did. But I always knew I wanted something more, right? And my brother at the time was working. He was doing, he's a numbers guy, which we'll get into later. He offsets me. I'm not a numbers guy at all. I don't want to look at the numbers until I see a P&L with the NOI on it. And like, that's it. So he's a numbers guy. He was working for my father's fulfillment company. They essentially were like, the easiest way of describing it is like the Amazon for the entertainment industry. So everything you see in a movie theater, his company, and he had the company for 35 years, would build, ship, and get everything out to the movie theater. So all the standees, all the posters, he essentially had every major entertainment studio. So they had large facilities all throughout Valencia, California. That's where we're from. Went up into Bakersfield, Tajon to get some cheaper warehousing at one point, but they had, well over 3 million square feet of warehousing, and they were just shipping all that stuff out all the time. Like that's the world that I kind of grew up in. So being around that space, being around, like, my dad is a true entrepreneur, like 100%. Like, you can't even have a conversation with him about anything other than entrepreneurship. So he's passionate about it. He could sit here in this chair and talk about his business all day long, and the podcast would be 4 hours. Like that. That's just who he is. Like, you ask him one question and he'll just he'll just write off. But I grew up in that environment, right? And I think seeing that obviously always kind of gave me like an edge. Like, okay, I got to do something. I want to do something. I think, and I wrote this on the forum, was one of the best, I would say, family decisions, personal decision, and something I'm always thankful of my father for, was that I didn't go take over his business, that I didn't go into that space, because I think it's so prevalent, right? And people were kind of looking at me as I was coming up, like, Dad's about to retire. Like the timing made sense, but I think me being a 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid going to a company doing the amount of just pure revenue that they were doing, I was nowhere near ready for that. Like, at all. And I don't think anyone necessarily would be. And you can learn. I could have started as the president of something, a VP of something, and kind of worked my way up. But I'm an entrepreneur. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and that wasn't entrepreneurship to me. And for me, my blessing was to be able to learn from my dad, like to be able to look at him and say, okay, my dad didn't have that infrastructure. So I've always said my dad grew a business to a very, very good revenue number, to a very earned a bunch of respect within the industry, and he started from zero, like nothing. So I always said, okay, well, my infrastructure, what I started off with, I better 10x that, right? That's kind of like what always kind of kept,
to whom much is given, much expected return.
100%. Gosh, I want to get that tattooed on me too. I'm sorry, but I was just talking about that the other day.
I got so many things popping my head right now.
But so me growing up, my friends were like, take over go get a good salary and just roll that space. My brother was kind of dabbling in that, but again, my brother is an analytical genius. Like that's what he thrives in, and he also, knowing himself, my parents, as we grew up, always taught us, like, play to your strengths, right? I think it's a common thing to say, get out of your comfort zone. My parents were like, stay in your comfort zone. Like we went to a small private school in Thousand Oaks, California, called Cal Lutheran. My brother, me, and my sister all went there. Like, I was driving from home to school. I didn't want to go have like the college experience. I wanted to, I was comfortable at home. Like, I was comfortable in Valencia, in California. I didn't want to do the whole big university. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but just for us, like, the way that we were raised and what we were taught was like, stay with what you're good at. Like, if you have a strength, keep your strength. My brother's strength is to be analytical. He's a huge asset to a company. He doesn't have the interest of standing in front of people, waving at them and saying, let's go do this today, right? That's just not his skill set. So he stayed, he worked for my dad. He's extremely valuable. He allowed, my dad to be in a really good spot at one point, and they were able to sell their business back in 2016. So in 2018, my brother's still working for that business. We're doing the restaurant, and I'll never forget, I was sitting in a meeting with the landlord. Our restaurant's in a mall, so it's like at the end of a food court. So we're sitting there and we're having a meeting with like the lead lady. Her name was Corinne. I don't know exactly what her title was, but she was talking about vacancies in the mall. All right, this is like 2019, 2018, where we're starting to see like
some of the decline.
Yeah, and it was a Westfield property, and the property has since sold, which we're very happy about. But we still have the restaurant today. But as she's talking about it, I was like, just sitting there. I remember I had this big notepad that one of my friends got me at the time, and I wrote on it DoorDash for clothes. Like, I just I wrote that down in the notepad, because I was like, how do we get the inventory, like those stores, to go to the consumer, right? Because she's like, Macy's wants to leave, JCPenney's was on the way out. Urban Out, like all these places. And she's like, we can't keep our leases. They were basically coming to us, telling us like, just, there was like a transparency meeting. Like they were coming to us. So I wrote that down in the meeting and I leave the meeting and, I'll never forget this either. I call my dad right after the meeting. I was like, Dad, I have it. Yeah. Like I have like aha moment. Right. Like I have what I want to do. And he's like, I don't think it's going to work. You know, like the most like honest, he's like, you'll never be able to track the inventory. It just won't work. And he's like, what do you know about technology? You know what I mean? And again, that like my dad, entrepreneur, like he'll see the idea and be like, I love you. Yeah. I wish you nothing but the best, but I don't see that working. I was like, okay. Honest opinion. Yeah. And he's like, you know what? Let me put you in contact with 2 guys. He had 2 guys within his business, like tech heavy guys. I went and I talked to this guy, James McKinney. I'll never forget this conversation. I meet him at a Starbucks and I'm like ecstatic, right? This is like me, like I'm just full of energy, like full of light. And I tell him that, cause I was like, you know what? Like my dad, he's older. Like, he doesn't really understand the tech side of it. This James guy, I'm going to nail it with him. Yeah. So I go there. I was organized. I had all my stuff and I explained the business to James and he goes, he's asking me like, what I'm studying and stuff. And I was like, business management. And he's like, if you're not a tech guy, don't own a tech company. He's like, you'll never be able to. And again, this is just like my story. If you're a tech guy, if you're not a tech guy and you own a tech company, for you, you know what I mean? But he's just telling me, he's like, you'll never, if you're not creating it early on, you'll never be able, like, you're always just going to be white labeling or like outsourcing. And you're like, that's your IP with this type of business that you're trying to do. He brought up the inventory issue again. Yeah. And I remember I left that meeting and I was like, these guys don't know what they're talking about, you know? And he's like, look, I know you're going to be like, you're going to feel like I'm like coming down on you right now. Just think about it. Yeah. So I sat there, I thought about it for like a month or a week. And I just remember like the one thing he kept saying that like kept playing over in my head was like, what are you connected to? Like what is easy for you to enter?
Story time with drop off. The lab test that just couldn't wait. A hospital system needed a delivery fast. The patient was prepped, the doctors were waiting, and time was just not on their side. Enter drop off. Drop off showed up with the certified driver, temperature controlled equipment, and live updates along the way. That wasn't just moving a package, it was saving a life. And that's the type of reliability that drop off brings in 35 plus markets across the US. Powered by smart technology, but always with people and drivers who care. Turn this story into your reality. Visit dropoff.com today.
And the answer at that time was food. Like I was in the restaurant space, but I wanted to be connected to delivery. Yeah. So essentially I went back to him. I said, hey, look, there's a bunch of DoorDash duplicate apps, right? You could go on India, white labels and stuff. Yeah. So that's what I did. I white labeled the software. And I basically started a local service for DoorDash. Just literally white labeled an app. India, like hard to understand, like didn't know everything that was going on, but I got access to an app. We called the company WeGo, and it was off. I got some traction there. I reached out to a guy to make my website. I reached out to him and he goes, "Oh my gosh, I've had the same idea." That ended up being my first partnership. Got it. So
how old are you at this point?
I am 21. 21. Okay. I was 21 years old. So, and I'm November of 2019 was our first like sale. Like that was like our first like live day. And again, for me, it was, okay, if this doesn't pan out, because at that time, DoorDash, which is way more prevalent now, but DoorDash, Grubhub, they started having exclusive with like Cheesecake Factory, like Chick-fil-A. Yeah. They started like integrating directly to those systems. But I was like, you know what? We're going to figure it out. I was putting their menu on. I would call the GM and I'd say, hey, look, here's what we're trying to do. We're basically just a takeout service for you. So if someone wants to call, use us, whatever. We're not going to have a lot of traction. We're going to try to market. Yep. But I was typing the Cheesecake Factory menu that has 540 items or whatever.
Cheesecake Factory.
We were typing all the things online. Someone would place the order online. I'd call Cheesecake Factory, place the order, and then our driver would go pick it up.
So straight manual.
Just like literally just manual. And then we did have a couple like local partnerships. We probably got up to like 8 restaurants by the end of 2019 that like did have our little white labeled app with a Samsung tablet in their store.
Okay.
But I was using the service for our catering and things like that too. And obviously our restaurant, Sharky's, I was like, this is the greatest service of all time. So we're using it, you know?
Yeah.
So we did that for a little. And then obviously that's 2019. 2020 comes around March and the world shuts down. Mm-hmm. So now I'm sitting there and I'm like, we did a little Facebook video. Like the gentleman that I was with at the time that I partnered with, he was really into like marketing. Like that's what his company was. He had a web and IT company. So we released this video, say we're going to do free food delivery for the community to help out local restaurants and then to get food to people in a safe manner. We made these little We Go stickers like to seal the bags and stuff like that. Not saying I can take credit for that, but no, but we did that whole thing and we got traction. Yeah. Like we went from doing 3 to 4 orders a day, like a day, to we were doing like 200 a day food delivery.
Damn.
Like just in our community. We weren't making any money. It was free delivery, but with the percentage that we take from the restaurant or the markup that we'd have on a Cheesecake Factory menu, we got some traction.
Yeah.
And we got access to drivers. I had cash flow, like we had things going. The good thing about that space is that we got paid before we did the service, right? Yeah. There's no, I'm not waiting on corporations. Yeah. So we got some things going. Like, again, we weren't making any money long term. The wheels were still turning like, okay.
But your first taste into the transportation business.
Exactly. We had some stuff going. Which was awesome. I'm probably over talking, so I'll let you ask. I love the story. Next question.
Well, I want to go back to a couple of things because you said a couple of things that, as you were talking, I'm thinking about. These are experiences I had in my career, in my life. So the first thing I want to talk about was your decision to not follow your dad's footsteps in terms of his going into the fulfillment business, which is somewhat related to transportation fulfillment, right? Sure. But two apples and oranges. Yeah. And I'm asking the question because I experienced it myself. So I went away to school, worked in another industry, and I came back home and got involved in my parents' business, which was the courier service at the time, Quick Courier Services, and grew it, worked my way up, became the president, sold it. But to be honest with you, and I don't think I've told this certainly on camera, I never felt like it was mine. Still to this very day, I still feel like that's my dad's baby, right? And I'm like you, or you're like me, or we're like our dads. Like, it's important to me that I have my own thing, that I have my own entrepreneurial journey, that I either I'm gonna follow my own sword, right? Yeah. What was that? Was it the same for you? Was it what? Because you could have certainly at least done what I did, at least go back and get some experience before you go out, right?
Yeah, I think it was just like the hunger to have my own thing, you know, and, still to this day, people come up, are you still working for your dad? Never worked for my dad in my life, you know, ever. And it's like, and it wasn't like that would have been a bad thing, or it wasn't like I would like that would have been the worst thing in the world. And shoot, there are days I'm like, can I just come work for you? You know, it's easier. Like it would have been not necessarily easier, but it would have been a less liability path for sure.
We've all heard the saying before: trust but verify. But in the last mile, when you're working with agents and master contractors, verification is manual, complex, and very rarely achieved. Enter GigSafe. GigSafe solved the problem that matters to you most. They've built a new network compliance tool that ties in master contractors, agents, and carriers so they can connect, validate, and authenticate their delivery and driver networks. With automated onboarding, live compliance tracking, and insurance verification, all happening in real time. No spreadsheets, no follow-ups, no more hoping that my partners are doing it right. Just one connected platform where visibility and control or at every layer of your operation. Turn your compliance into your competitive advantage. Visit gigsafe.com today.
But I think with the way that I was raised and with my dad and the way that he was, everyone would have thought that he would have had the pride on the other end to be like, I just built this for my kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, come work for me. He wasn't like that. Like, we talked about my first partnership, that we don't need to get into all the details, but it didn't end well. And when we ended up, parting ways, WeGo is still a thing today. He took the food business.
Okay.
I wish them nothing but the best. And I started getting into more of the corporate space on the things that we do today, just because we didn't have alignment on, hey, the company direction is going to go for food, or the company direction is going to go over here. But as my dad was watching that partnership fold and unfold and crumble at certain times, he allowed me to do that, right? And he allowed me to fall on my face a little bit, which I really needed to do, so that I could learn certain things quickly, and not that we're in an amazing spot today, but so that we can be in a healthier spot today, I'd say.
Yeah.
So,
you know what I love about that? I read a book one time, and Sarah Blakely, she's the founder of Spanx. You heard of Spanx?
Yeah.
So she's a girlfriend, wife, whatever.
Yeah.
Trust me, you heard about Spanx.
Yeah.
In this book, she described every day when she would come home. She's an older brother, Ford Blakely, who I met before. She would say every day they come home, and dad would come home at the dinner table. The first question he asked him every single day was, "What did you fail at today?"
Yeah.
And he was instilling and ingraining in them that failure is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And what you just said, I had the similar experience. My dad also allowed me, even though I was kind of working underneath him, he allowed me room to fail in times. And that's where you learn.
Yeah,
I mean, I tell this to my kids all the time when winning. I'm like, they hate to lose, which I'm like, I get it. Get it. We hate to lose, but like, you have to appreciate losing because
100%.
that's where you learn.
Yeah.
That's where it hurts. That's where you got to, dig deep. That's where you're going to be questioning yourself and questioning everything. And you don't have that experience. You think it's all smooth sailing. Yeah. And so you could have chosen a route, a path, or maybe more smoother sailing.
Yeah, sure.
But, credit to you for stepping out.
Appreciate it.
All right. So you've given us a good insight into the first part of your journey, how you got into Alvy. The first WeGo didn't work out.
Yeah.
Did you transition straight into Alvy Delivers from there?
So as I transitioned away from my first partner, the business, in my view, which was why the biggest reason for the partnership not sustaining, was because I believed that I was picking up traction on the corporate side, but we weren't getting paid by clients, and we had a cash outlay and a post from the food where we weren't making money, we weren't putting money in. And so we started to get to that point on the corporate side I think any young business owner goes through, where it takes a little money to make money at certain times, and you have to really believe in the opportunity and going into a little bit of debt, right? And doing some of those things and leveraging yourself. I think whether it's financially or your time or working to where you don't know exactly where it's going to end up, but it's that self-belief that, you know what, this idea will pan out at one point. And for me, what I was trying to do was create a model that was simple enough that if it didn't pan out entirely, I wouldn't be explicit, right? I wouldn't be in a hole. Yeah. So if it didn't pan out, wipe my hands clean, keep my overhead low, walk on out and find another opportunity. But I started to believe in myself, right? I started to believe that we had traction. So as that happened, that was 2 years into the business. It was a good opportunity. I reached out to my brother. He was looking at the WeGo numbers at that point and helping out. We partnered together. And so in 2021, January 1st, 2021, was the first day of operations for Alvy Delivers.
Got it. When you start, so you're at that point, you're how old?
I am 23 at that point.
23. Yeah. Most people aren't starting business at 23. What was it like when you are having to go talk to bankers, when you're having to go interview and hire people, when you're talking to customers? I remember my own experience. Oh yeah. I mean, you probably know where I'm going with this. Like, they look at you like, you're a kid. Like, how are you going to help me with this? What are some of those things you've had to overcome just because of your youth? Yeah. What are those challenges?
I mean, like you said, like those relationships, I think they're still some level of intimidation today, right? Being around the CLDA board, when I stand in that room, it's a bunch of people that have been doing something for a really, really long time, that have great experience, that know each other a lot better than they know me. So I think those battles are prevalent in a lot of situations, but I think again it goes back to self-confidence, right? It goes back to believing in what you have to offer. And everything that I was trying to do, I think a big thing that helped rid of those nerves, or just like some of the awkwardness through that conversation, was just only being focused on being a service provider, right? Like everything was not about me. It was about the excitement. And I used to say this all the time to, like, friends that I'd be around with. I was like, if someone's looking at you and explaining something with just confidence and happiness, and the person across from me looks at you and is like, still like, doesn't like I used to say this about college, right? Okay. I would say, people would look at me and be like, don't you want the college experience? And I would be like, no, I'm super happy. I'm super excited about what I have going on. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. If that person looked across me, felt my energy, and still was like, I think you should have gone to UT.
Yeah. Then
that person, to me, doesn't care about you, and that's not a relationship that you'd want in your life, or a client that you want in your life. We want all of them, but like that type of feeling, like that type of emotion. So I just tried to approach, and I still just try to approach the conversation as just being myself and as confident as I can be, and speaking with, my dad always said, speak with great conviction, right? If you speak with conviction and that person isn't convinced by the end of it, that's you giving it your best, and there's nothing more that you can do at the end of the day.
One thing I've thought about as you're talking is, so you're 23 at the time. You only been in business, but about 3-4 years now, right? When you're in those moments and you are, younger, a little less experienced, how have you been able to leverage some of that inexperience as being more innovative, being more creative? You mentioned earlier, you were talking about your dad, when he's like, you may not know, where this thing is going. Have you had chances where, even then with customers, where you come in and approach something differently, say, well, yes, but we can do it this way or that way? Have you been able to leverage it in a positive way?
This might be a kind of weird way of answering the question, but I would say, like, everything, like when I think about my team and leading like my team and we have a young team, just because the reality is, you talk about bankers and clients, when I would go out and try to get a operations person, they don't want to work for a 23-year-old, right? So my operations person was 23, was 22. And it's really just acknowledging the youth, right? Acknowledging the humility, acknowledging a lack of information. But I used to say all the time, and we still talk about it like all the time with our team today, like, we are not a startup. I never wanted to be a startup. I didn't want to be viewed as a startup. I didn't talk like we were a startup. We were a new, young company that had the intention and the ability to do great things. So I think addressing the situation humbly, but also, again, it goes back to that conviction piece of saying, like, yes, we are inexperienced, but we are experts at what we do, and we have relationships from again, it's internal people or contractors of attorneys, and we've built up this team of people that are far more experienced than us, but they're on our team, right? You're on our team. Like, so when I go and I'm speaking about insurance or compliance, like, I'm able to say, well, you don't have to like me, you don't have to listen to me, or you may think that I'm too young or whatever, but like, I know you like Jason, right? I know you like Jason, and he's the one that's helping us get to where we need to get to from an insurance and a compliance perspective. So it's just surrounding us with really, really good resources, and I think that saved us.
I think it's genius, because you think about some of the most successful companies in the world. We often know about them. They were founded by people that dropped out of college at a very young age. And that inexperience sometimes can be perceived as a disadvantage. But when you're able to leverage the innovation, but also have enough wherewithal, that's the thing about, I think, what younger startup entrepreneurs, they don't often ask the questions. You talk about how you're a sponge, you ask questions, right? that's the part you miss, because it's not so much that you're young. That's an advantage. You can probably work longer, work harder, go faster. It's the things that just the blind spots that you haven't experienced, the scars that you haven't had, on your back yet, because you haven't gone through it. But when you're able to bring in the people to help you with that, now you got something that can really, really go fast.
Yeah.
But I got to keep it real with you.
Yeah.
23 years old. Why not just be hanging on the damn beach in California? I mean, you're a young dude.
Yeah.
You could probably be having a good time.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
And this goes back to one of the things I answered on the intake form. When I was 16, my mom passed away. And my parents, I look now as like an older, not older, but as I've gotten older and I've watched my brother, he's got 2 beautiful kids. I'm just like, they were so in sync. Like my mom, like me and my brother try to have our partnership like our parents were with the way that they raised us. Like my mom would say something, and if my dad said, like, they were on the same page, right? And I'm sure they would be behind closed doors like, absolutely not. But in front of us, I think the consistency of being a leader was so important.
Yeah.
So if my brother says something, I'm with him 100%. And I try to have that same mindset with our operations managers, finance managers. Like if someone on your team that's in a leadership role is saying something, like back them up. But going back to answer your question, when my mom passed away, I think obviously that would be a hard situation for anyone, but for me, I was so like focused on, I think anyone would want to make their parents proud, but for me, I was just like, this is not that I was doing anything wrong or bad. I was 16 and I was doing well. Like we had to get straight A's. Like that was like a non-negotiable. So if that was like my representation of being like a good focused kid, I guess at that time, but like from the time that happened, no drugs, not that I was doing any before, but I told myself like, I'm not going to be focused on anything, but just being great for her. My mom, I never saw her smoke. I never saw her drink. She didn't curse, like nothing. She was truly like a pure human being. And I think that's easier to say when someone's gone, right? Is like, oh, we miss them and they're a pure human. But the people around me and the people that'll watch this podcast that know me and know my mom, like my dad was a powerhouse, and he was a powerhouse in our community, in our industry, as a coach, as a businessman. But my mom was a huge part of his success and just gave him the ability to have success at work and in that space. And she took care of us, and she was at home, and she was just a truly like special. And the word pure just comes to my mind when I think of her. So when that happened, and when that moment happened in my life, that was a turning point for me, where I was like, I'm going to go down a path that is incredibly focused. That is an unmatched level of like, yeah, at 18, I'm going to start a company, like at certain milestones. And I don't set like far out goals necessarily. I'm not sitting here going, well, at 35, I want to do this or that. And I think, again, that's not a negative thing, but for me, it's just honestly waking up every day, trying to be the absolute best version of myself that I can be. So I think that's why at 23, I had that mindset rather than, oh, I want to go do this or go do that. So
yeah, it's interesting how death can shape and change your perspective. I'm sorry for your loss. I obviously couldn't imagine at 16 years old.
Yeah. But I tell people this all the time, and I'm definitely going to overtalk right now, but
it's
about my mom. Like,
do it.
I was so lucky to have her. Yeah, like for those 16 years, I remember I said that at her funeral. I was like, everyone's going to say like, oh, I'm so sorry. But like for me, like she's inside me. Like I am who I am because of her. But like I was so lucky to have the 16 years I had with her. Someone could have their mom, in my view, for 50 and they wouldn't get what I got in 16. So that's just the way I look at it. And
That's awesome, man. It's awesome. It's moving. And I think what I can appreciate most about it is that you probably hear the opposite of that story, right? Some people have that experience and they go down the wrong path. And credit to your mom, your dad, but you, and I'm sure your family, your brother. Is it just you and your brother?
I have a younger sister.
Too. Just for kind of sticking to your core roots, right? And that's incredibly difficult to do in those moments. But obviously it's been the catalyst for where you are in your career today. One more thing on the leadership side. You mentioned in our previous discussions off air, you're talking about a three-dimensional leader, being a three-dimensional leader.
Yeah.
Explain that to us.
Yeah. So my dad was always our coach in sports. So
What'd you play?
I played football, baseball, but my dad, with the timing of things, coached my brother more in football and coached me more in baseball. We had a travel baseball team that we that was summers, that was night, that was everything.
It's a real thing.
So, we didn't take family trips. Our trip was where the biggest tournament was that particular summer. So, and that was my community. Those were our family friends and stuff growing up. But he always, as a coach, we had standards and things like that. It wasn't just, it was a true life experience, right? And he's still extremely close to a lot of those players today, just from that experience. But he always just talked about being a three-dimensional individual, right? So you want to be funny, you want to be loving, and you want to be tough. And he used to, I'm going to butcher it, and he's not going to be happy when he watches this, but it's, he wanted to be like Curly from the Three Stooges, funny, Clint Eastwood, and I don't remember the love one. I don't remember the figure that he used, but we always had pictures of those people up and stuff like that. And he said, especially as a leader, you got to be consistent, and you got to be three-dimensional. And so I think if you're able to lead with, love, right? That love piece. And my dad was, 45-year-old man yelling at 10-year-old saying, "Love you," that. That was just who he was. So, we grew up with that, tough love, right? If you're going to be hard on someone, lead with love. Don't just, you know how it is in youth sports, coaches are just yelling to yell, right?
Crazy sometimes, bro.
You get to high school and you honestly have a grumpy man that's just yelling to yell at a 16-year-old. But bottom line is, lead with love. Like if you lead with love and your heart's in the right spot, the way that the message comes out, it's a lot easier to follow at the end of the day, or at least that was the mindset behind it.
Yeah.
Funny is really just about more like enjoyment, right? Just enjoy what you're doing, no matter what it is. And I've always said, like, did I love the restaurant industry? No, but I loved leading the people, right? Like I fell in love with having a good time with the people that I was with, right? And same thing for my company today. Am I unbelievably excited about delivering packages? Not necessarily, but man, do I love the industry. Man, do I love the people that we're able to do it with. And I absolutely am in love with our customers and the business and the way that things go, good and bad.
Yeah.
And then that toughness, I think you have to have it to be focused, right? Focus, toughness, it's, kind of interchangeable in that sense. And you have to be able to know when it's right to lock down and put those other things aside for a second and be able to bite a little bit. So.
Yeah. Incredible stuff there. I coach my kids right now in sports. I was an athlete growing up. My summers was just like yours, although baseball wasn't as big then when I was growing up as it is now. It's year round. Right? It's everything's year round. Flags year round, tracks year round. I'm running out here in a couple of days to go to a track meet.
Yeah.
It's fun. But I was just talking to my kids about this in the car the other day. This track meet's coming up, and I was giving a little bit of tough love.
Yeah.
And I've always told my kids from day one, like, if I coach you, you got to separate dad from coach, right? Doesn't mean that you're not loving them, but obviously when we're on the field, there's a focus we have, there's a toughness I'm gonna have because I'm trying to push you to be the best version of yourself. There's an honesty I'm gonna have with you as an athlete. I think I owe that to any kid because I don't think you're doing kids a service when the whole notion of everyone gets a trophy. Like I didn't come from that. I don't believe in that. I want everyone to have a good time, participate. But the earlier I think you learn some of these principles of life through sports, winning's a good thing. But winning takes up. We got to be responsible. It's our responsibility to come with that.
Absolutely.
That said, what have been some of the challenges you've had in leadership? So we've talked about some of the good things, but where have you fallen short at?
Yeah. I still say this all the time. Like, if I'm involved in an order, it's a problem, right? Because I'm not the slow it down person. If I'm involved in a job, we definitely lost money on it. Like, just service it, get the guy over there. If a customer's calling me, we're pulling him off of this job, getting him over there, and we're going to do it. And we lost $200, like, for sure. I'm not my nature is sales and client relations over like true operations, and that's why that there's not more people that I'm thankful for than our operators, right? Like our managers that are in the offices that are running dispatch, like those are my guys because I need them. And I'd say that's like that's the biggest, like that's my biggest lack of, I don't know. I'm mixing up my words, but I'd say
the challenge
like,
you've had.
yeah, I'd say like my biggest challenge is being able to implement like a good process, right? Like I'll get a client, we'll get it off the ground, and then when I go back to my team, I'll leave out 3 things, and they're like doing the first job, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, what happened? And I'm like, oh yeah, like they said this, they said that. You know, I move too fast in that in that respect, I think. But the second piece that's correlated to that has really been like allowing the business to run without me involved, right? Especially early on, I was dispatching, I was answering the phone, I was doing all that.
Octopus.
Yeah. And you know, I got really good advice early on to just, I have to allow the business to run so that we can continue to grow, and not just grow, but sustain. Like it wasn't a matter of growth at a certain point. It was like, because I'm not operating isn't my strength necessarily. I got to find guys that are good. And I had guys that were good, but for a certain amount of time, I was still like micromanaging them, right? Over that piece. So, I think that's a struggle for any business owner.
A tremendous struggle.
Yeah.
I see so much of myself in you, especially early in my career.
That's good. Hopefully I can end up like you.
No, you'll be far surpassing me. I've got my money bet on that. You ever heard of the book called Traction by this guy named Gino Wickman? No. So I'm gonna get this book for you. Okay. Phenomenal book. Helped to change our company at a point where we were in a really bad spot. Yeah. But one of the things that it talks about is every organization needs a visionary. That's the person that focuses on big client relationships. It's always thinking like in 90-day intervals. Probably not the person you want to be in the weeds of anything. And then the next person has to be the integrator. So you're going to take all those visions, all those high level things, and integrate it downstream into the organization. I was very blessed in my, when I was working in my family's business, I had a phenomenal integrator who was our partner, who was a former UPSer for 25 years. And so he could take all these wild ideas and actually make it happen. Because same way, if I got involved in an order, it is a problem. It is all bad. But it goes back to something you said earlier too, like when your parents were telling you like to stay in your comfort zone, to kind of know your lane. It's so crucial, man. Every organization has to identify who these people are. And the sooner you can identify that, to figure out the right people on the bus will keep going and getting that. It's called traction for where you get that traction going. I want to ask you a question that I wish somebody would ask me when I was your age. And actually, it's funny. I'll say this. My dad told me something when I first got into the business. We have another business too, kind of like we have a parking management company. At the time when I came in, my dad was full blown on his parking management business, which does really well. And he said, "Look, I want you to come in. I want you to help, get this business going. But I don't know if you'll ever make all your money in this business, in this industry." And at the time, I was like, "Come on, man. Maybe it can work out for you. Like, you don't know who I am, right? You don't know." And so I started tracking along. I'm like, so I'm gonna prove them wrong. So we started going to the big accounts, and we were growing. We were growing. We grew by 5-6x from where we were when I first got there. But then I started realizing that the margins are really, really tight in this industry. It's still, although technology has greatly improved, it still it's a very labor intensive business. At least from most of our models, half of a dollar you're gonna make is going to the driver, to support driver ops. From an industry standpoint, you've had success. Do you think, and this is one of the things I'm passionate about, I'm concerned about at the same time, is at a time when this industry is growing at an all-time rate, there's more volume opportunities in final mile, thanks to Amazon. We love or hate them, the Amazon effect, consumer behavior changing, etc. But I don't know if I always see that translated into dollars and cents in our space. And that's concerning and frustrating to me at times. You looking outward, still in it, what do you see about that? And do you think there's anything
we can do about that?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything that we can do about it. The way that I am a glass half full type of person. If you ask my brother, he'll give you a 2-hour response of why it's negative. But to me, I believe that our industry is a forever industry that can be enhanced by technology. Yeah, is it scary, especially being around LA when you go and you see the little Coco machine? That's the robot that's
Yeah.
delivering, right? I just
Oh,
moved
they got them here in
down
Austin
to
too.
Santa Monica, sure.
Oh
So,
yeah, they're here.
but I think it's a matter of the industry. I don't see how that's going to happen in that type of delivery on the medical space, at least soon, right? And I think that we can continue to go towards that niche of medical deliveries, and that's really what we're like. Our best accounts are medical based delivery accounts, whether we're delivering hospital supplies, whether it's blood transfusions, or items for Kaiser Permanente after you get a sample drawn. So I think it's just about choosing the right industries within the industry.
Yeah.
But I just, for example, like the whole trucking thing, and, as Alvy's grown and we've gotten into the LTL space, we've gotten into the, warehousing and fulfillment space. Those are exciting spaces to be a part of right now, right?
Yeah.
I'd say the biggest concern for our industry right now is that when you do an RFP today, it's at a lower rate than it was when I first started. That's tough, right?
Yeah.
Because when you look at our cost of living, and as everything's going up, right? We look at the simplicity of a restaurant. Wow, our prices for a burrito were $9, and today they're $16, right? For that same product.
Yeah.
When you're looking at a delivery, it was $50 4 years ago, and now it's $35 as a base rate. So as the rates are going down, that's the part that's challenging. But today, right, I'm in the process of it right now, and shouts out to LTHQ and Dispatch Science. We're transitioning over to that technology. We're transitioning over to that technology because we believe that technology is going to put us in a position to optimize more routing, right? To put us in a position to make it easier and not just take a shipment now. And everything that we do over the last 2-3 years has been point A to point B, right? We have to be in the space now where Mitchell Marshall can take a shipment and he's going to do 6 on a good optimized route that's going to hit each, quoted delivery time, each quoted pickup time with PODs and all that kind of stuff. And I think we create our own value, right? I tell our team that all the time. Like, you will never get a certain amount of service by certain pieces of technology. Like, the human hardware is incredibly important. This whole Waymo thing and, cars, they're driving without a driver. For me, when I get in a car, or whether it's Uber Black, whatever, if it's, one of my own people taking me, I enjoy the human interaction, right?
Yeah.
And I'm the demographic that would say, you just want to get in the car and not talk to anyone. And yeah, there are times if my headphones are in and I'm working, like, I appreciate that. But when the driver is really respectful, I got my grandparents Uber down to my house the other night. Like, driver was opening the car, putting the seatbelt on my like, you can't beat that, right? So I think the only way that we stay viable is by choosing the right industry within the industry. And that goes back to our conversation on be selective with your business, right? I don't want to deliver certain commodities that are taking away our assets and taking away our focus from being able to do high level medical, hot shot type of deliveries, because that needs to be our focus, because that's viable.
Yeah.
That's important. That's going to be what's here for the next 10, 20 years. But watching my father's company too, like, that business, the movie industry has changed so much, right? You got to be able to be nimble. Like, you have to be able to say, okay, what's the next thing that's coming up? Like, rather than being frightened by, oh, this is changing, just connect yourself to the change, right? To us, it's like, and because we're service providers and we're not innovators, I didn't create an IP that's going to go away necessarily. So it's like, oh, what's the new technology? Let's just go attach ourselves to it. That's kind of our mindset right now. But I would say the biggest challenge, struggle, and fear would be just the general rating.
Yeah.
Like, the rating going down.
You're either at the table or you're on the menu. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
last question for you before we wrap up. What's your last or first moment? And maybe, I don't know if you've had it yet. I mean, you've dropped so many nuggets already, being a younger guy. I keep referencing that, but I don't want to say young. I think you're actually much wiser than your years.
Appreciate it.
And I think the value you've had of growing up in an entrepreneur household certainly helped to accelerate your growth.
Yeah.
But if I like to ask my guests this, being about that last to first moment, that's kind of that pivotal moment where, and maybe you could have went left when you went right, or was kind of propelled you. What would you say that has been for you, whether it be personally or professionally?
I mean, yeah, definitely when I look at my life, I would say like that moment that turned on a dime was my mom's situation for sure. I think from a mindset perspective. And then, professionally, I would say that first, going out and doing WeGo by myself. I still I still talk to my brother today about like, hey, you didn't even believe in my idea. You came with me 3 years down the road. Which just, it was just a total timing thing. But, that experience, although it didn't go well, I think my father's concerned, my brother's concerned, anyone around me concerned with that, I think they all came to fruition. Like I've never admitted that, right? But all those things, like if we look at that deal, wrapped up, I lost money. It was challenging, right? Like I went through some turmoil there. There's still effects of it today. There's a lot of sloppiness with that business in terms of the startup of it. And, you talk about the IC debacle, there's just so much, but like we talked about it, and you spent a good time with it, with discussing it, like the failure was such a win. Like going through that process and falling on my face and going through an experience that, like, again, my dad had put me in a situation where I didn't need to go through that, right, in my life. But I think going through that has shaped me, has allowed me to look at the business today, and I can't take it for granted. Like that, like our business today, no matter how good you're doing or how poor you're doing, like you can either turn it around or it's a moment away from shifting. Right. A couple of those issues and things that we had early on with WeGo was just a bad email, a bad phone call, a miscommunication. And talk about life's precious, business is precious. Like business and the business world is precious, and the opportunities that we're given, whether it's by a client or the opportunity to lead, like you can't take it for granted.
No. Well, look, man, I appreciate you being on. I'm excited to that we got this done. And I appreciate you sharing your losses with us, because there's lessons and losses, and that's the only way we learn. And you've certainly a student of the game. As I said, I think you're on a fast pace, and I'm excited to see kind of where you go. So thanks for being on the podcast, man. This is Jason Burns with Last to First, Noah Alvarez with Alvy Delivers. We're out. Peace.
Thank you.